Yeah, it's big deal. Big deal. All right, silence. Here comes the intro. You're listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Grow Clinton is a 501c6 nonprofit economic community development and tourism organization based in Clinton, Iowa. For more information, visit growclinton.com. Again, that's growclinton.com. Now, back to the show. What's happening, everybody out there in beautiful podcast land? It is a warm day here in Clinton, Iowa, with a high hovering right around 90 degrees. My name, as always, were you talking to me? My name, as always, Andy Sokolovich, the president and CEO of Grow Clinton, joined in the Stu studio by Jenny Home, our director of member and community relations. Jenny, what's happening?
I'm going to tell you what's happening. Look what I got on.
Ooh, you got some Grow Clinton swag on.
We got it today.
Very nice.
Showed up.
Yeah,
love it.
Thank you to AdCraft for hooking us up. They do a web store, and usually twice a year we'll do a web store partnership with them, so you can grab some Grow Clinton swag. But I'll have to check out my jacket.
Yeah,
I got a little warm-up jacket. I'm pretty stoked about.
Nice. We all ordered gray.
You know what else I'm stoked about, Jenny?
I don't know what.
Well, this podcast would not happen but for the generous support of Miles Communications, offering us wicked fast, high-speed internet. Check them out, milestelephone.com. Again, milestelephone.com, serving really all over the place. Miles, Iowa is where they're from, the thriving metropolis of Miles. Just a small community.
Lovely little town.
But it is a lovely little town, and Miles does us really good.
Yep.
That's proper English right there.
That's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it.
Wicked fast kid.
So thank you, Miles, for all of that. Jenny, I just got back from Bettendorf.
I know it. That's an honor to be asked to speak.
Yeah, I spoke at the Bettendorf Rotary Club.
We're proud of you.
Yeah, it was very nice. They wanted to learn more about what's going on here at Grow Clinton, which means the word is spreading.
I think so.
People
get some
are starting
good feedback.
to understand that we're kicking butt, taking names, and doing some great things for our community. And speaking of great things, we are very lucky to have secured a top-notch professional in the position of Director of Placemaking and Tourism at Grow Clinton. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Sarah Smith. Sarah, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
I'm excited. I'm glad to be here. Had to wait a couple weeks, but I'm on and now we're here.
Yeah. We and then we were going to do this at 2, and then it's up till 3, and then you know how things go.
Yeah.
But, so Sarah, you are living in Comanche, and you are from the area.
Yes.
You left for a little bit, came back, or how'd that work out?
Yeah. So I was born in Southern California. Moved here when I was very young. Graduated high school here in 2016 from Comanche. Then I went out to the University of Iowa for a few years. COVID happened. So I spent an extra few years there. He didn't know what I was going to do. But I came back this way in 2021 for my little brother's graduation. And I ended up meeting my partner. And you know how that is. You just kind of stick around and found some work in the Quad Cities and kind of got invested there. But like I said, I'm from Clinton. So when this opportunity came up, I had to apply.
Yeah.
So now I'm here.
So we were without a tourism director or director of placemaking and tourism for approximately a year, a little bit less. And Matt Pars from our office really kept that department running, kept it together while we were searching for the right candidate for the job. And we didn't want to just rush things and fill the void. So we interviewed, and Sarah crushed the interview. Not only did you come in prepared, but you came in and shared stories, which I found to be very impactful regarding your experience visiting some of our tourism destinations and amenities that we have here in Clinton.
Yeah, I think being connected to the community is the reason why this opportunity was so attractive to me. And I talk about this all the time. Clinton can be a destination, but it's also a hometown. It's my hometown. I know it's a lot of people's. And while we have great amenities, I don't look at Eagle Point Park or the Dike or whatever it is as what it is. I think about all the stories and the memories that I have throughout my life there. And so, the community tour that you guys gave was great. Just kind of seeing it from the other side of things.
That was my next question was, now that you're in this position, what do you see differently from just, being a resident here?
I'll say this has been the biggest not surprised, but thing that I wasn't expecting. So being a professional in the Quad Cities for 5 years or so, getting really integrated there, networking with people. When I came into this position, I didn't understand the professional culture that Clinton had. I always told people, there's no opportunity for me here. But that's wrong. And since I've been in this position, I've got to meet so many awesome neighbors that really care about the community like we do. That's been the most surprising thing.
And that's a good surprise.
And I'll say this too, being my age, I had a lot of friends move away from the community. They didn't come back. But since being in this position, I have met so many new people that are my age. They like the same things as me. They're interested in community development. So that's just been the most surprising thing, the community that we have here.
And it just seems like a rite of passage to move away for a while and come home.
I never thought I was coming back.
Yeah.
I was definitely the type where I was like, I've got the whole world in front of me. I'm going to go do my thing and see you later, Clinton Comanche.
Yeah.
But you know how life goes. And we always
it's-
end up where we're supposed to end up.
That's
Right.
right. That's the truth. And one of the things we've been working on for years, I've been involved in economic development since 2015. So this year marks 10 years in this building in a professional capacity. One of the things I always have noticed, and I've constantly wanted to change, was having a younger demographic represented on boards and committees, because it was always very frustrating to me when we would have a position, an opportunity to make a decision that's going to impact the future. Yet you're looking around the room and you're like, well, half of us are going to be retired in the next 5 years.
Right.
The other half of us are beyond that stage in our life where we have children. So what is the impact of our decisions going to be felt and realized by those that aren't at this table?
Right. And
that's
a lot
why
of
I'm
times,
excited to kind of broaden that demographic a little bit.
right. The people a lot of times get set in their ways too, and they don't want things to change. And the change is going to come from people with new ideas. Not that people my age don't have them. It's just that it's good to have that perspective. I knew Sarah was going to have that when she got here, because she started speaking in IT terms that we did
The
not
marketing
understand. We didn't know some of them.
Yeah. Well, I've just always have been someone who wanted to be involved in the community. Even at a young age, I was looking at ways to get involved, volunteering and whatnot. I think the recent elections is what's getting my generation more and more involved. They're realizing that they do have a say in what is going to happen, especially on the local level.
Yeah.
Everybody overlooks what's going on in our actual communities, but that's changing. And I'm really happy to see that. And Clinton, I know it's changing too, but being in the Quad Cities, there's so many groups and things dedicated to getting young professionals involved and in the same room and at the same table as the CEOs and the decision makers and things like that. Because you're absolutely right. 10, 20 years, everybody that's in leadership now will have transitioned on, unless you're young like us and, those types of things.
Yes.
No, I didn't want him to think I'm calling him
Oh,
old.
no, it's okay. I am a seasoned 43-year-old man. Yes. When you said that you graduated in 2016,
I
went,
know.
I know.
I hesitate to say it. There's been a couple of times when I've been introducing myself here and I give them that date and I'm like, I am dating myself in the wrong way.
Not the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's younger than my youngest kid graduating.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sarah, you hit the ground running. Obviously, this last weekend, June 5th through the 7th, we had Tailgate and Tall Boys, which for those of you that have your head buried in the sand and don't know what that is, it is a very large country music festival held on our beautiful riverfront here in Clinton, Iowa. We had acts like Wyatt Flores, Riley Green, Ella Langley, Jason Aldean, Whiskey Myers, one of my favorites, and the list goes on. And you went to social media following the conclusion of the festival and just explain to our listeners some of the talking points you suggested that we adopt as we look to continue to promote opportunity here in Clinton.
Yeah. So if I think I'm understanding your question correctly, I did make a post after Tailgate and Tall Boys because, like you said, unless your head's buried in the sand, we were either there, we saw pictures, or we participated in some way. But the impact goes beyond just what we experienced on that 3-day weekend. It's not just the music that we heard or, the people that we got to meet and things like that. It's the ripple effect that has happened in our community from that. I was just talking to Sarah Johnson today. which is funny you brought up Miles Communication, because they had a record-breaking year this year in terms of sales at Manning's Whistle Stop. And all of their cans that they collected, they ended up donating back to the city of Miles for their splash pad.
Oh, very
So
Nice.
it's things like that. And I know that that's not our community, but it's an example of our downtown being filled with people, our
Right.
main streets, you know, buzzing around. Riverview Drive, full of
Mhm.
people. We went on a drive last weekend up to Eagle Point Park, and we go every weekend. And usually it's kind of bare, you know, there's
Mhm.
graduation parties here and there, but that's really it. Every single pavilion was filled. The new accessible pavilion was filled. The ones that are kind of sat back that people don't use because it doesn't have the best sunlight was filled. And we saw license plates from everywhere, Missouri, Arkansas, Minnesota, all of those places. And it really just brought together what Tailgate
Yeah.
and Tallboys
Mhm.
meant for our community.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about how you said that I'm going to mess this up, but you said while the action was happening on Riverfront, something about the community was showcasing their heart or something.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and that's
Hometown.
and that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a really big part of what I want to do in this position. Is it's not just about the visitors, it's reigniting that community pride that we have, but for some people it's a little bit more buried.
Mhm.
And so while TNT did their thing, Clinton was what was driving the experience that everyone was having. After you leave the show or before you get to the show, where are they going? Who are they talking to?
Mhm.
Those types of things. And yeah, it was just great to see,
Yeah.
and to get our neighbors more involved and get them excited again it's just really
Yeah,
special.
it is.
Yeah.
It's a great time to be in Clinton, and kudos again to Scott Madison, Josh
Yes.
Eggers, Parks and Rec director, for having the vision to make this possible. There's some things they need to iron out, and I'm sure there's going to be some discussions regarding our opportunities moving forward in partnership with USA Concerts and Events, because this was the third year of a 3-year contracted
Mhm.
agreement to host
Right.
Tailgate and Tall Boys.
Mhm.
So there's going to be some really detailed discussions moving forward, but I am excited to witness what the future holds. And you know, we were talking today when I came in the office about some data, you know, analytics, something to show that we had some growth. And we realized that what was nearly 15% growth in occupancy in the hotels and motels in 2025, as opposed to when we had the concert series in 2024.
Mhm.
So why ticket sales weren't as aggressive as the year
Right.
before, we've had more people coming in, and that doesn't
Mhm.
even count the campers,
Mhm.
people that are using
Mhm.
RVs, tents,
Yeah.
you know, things of that nature. And there's an intangible return on investment that you just can't slap into an Excel spreadsheet. And that is what Sarah just said, creating an experience for a first time visitor who may or may
Mhm.
not have ever viewed Clinton, Iowa as a destination.
Right.
And now, through the most powerful marketing tool ever created, word of mouth,
Mhm.
they're going to share that experience with others. And it is truly that ripple effect.
Mhm.
And so that's one of the cool things about having this concert series. I know everybody wants to break it down to dollars and cents, and that's fine. And that holds a tremendous amount of weight making regarding the decision moving forward. But there are those stories now that are going to proliferate throughout the
Mhm.
entire Midwest region regarding our community that cost us nothing,
Exactly.
you know?
Right.
So
I was pretty impressed with how Sarah started this job, and she just seemed to dig right into it and know what
Mhm.
she was going to do,
Mhm.
and to take on a big festival like that and sum it up so well and create such a great post. I just was really impressed
Yeah.
with that.
And I think that's the great thing that comes with picking someone from the community.
You're
You know,
right.
it was
Mhm.
very easy to step in this role and know what we have, know who's involved or who could be involved. And then obviously my background. I will say tourism is a new industry for me, but having that nonprofit, for-profit background, I just used what I knew and
Yeah.
kind
Right.
of went forward. And I'm really excited about going forward in this position. With the position being vacant for that long, I was able to step into a role that I can make my own,
Mhm.
and bring the expertise that I had, or the things that I've seen in prior roles, mix that with my relationship to the community, and then march forward. I'm just really excited about it. And yeah.
What is your vision for that, for tourism? It's brand new to you.
Yeah.
Where do you see it going?
Well, my vision, my plan, tourism is brand new to me, but we're all tourists in some capacity. We've
Mhm.
always visited a place and we've always taken experiences back with us. And I want to make sure that Clinton is a positive experience for people. I want to make sure that we're getting the word out there to audiences that might not have heard about us in the past. I want to make sure that we're creating the right experiences and places that when people come here, they have different things, to do or to take pictures of or to share online on Facebook or social media or whatever it is. That's my big vision. Overall, like I said earlier, my biggest goal for myself being in this position is to position Clinton as a destination and a hometown. So getting visitors to come in, getting them to come back is important, but I also want our neighbors to feel proud.
Right.
And I want them to be our biggest advocates.
Yeah.
I love that.
I want to create a community where, someone who maybe 5 years ago might have said, well, why would you come to Clinton? There's nothing to
Mhm.
do here. But now they're doing all these events, Music on the Avenue, Finally
Right.
Fridays, the Lumber Kings. Those are all happening this weekend.
Mm,
I just want our neighbors to be our advocates too.
there you go.
And that's often the hardest part, is changing that narrative.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's,
Yeah.
I remember when I first moved here, it was 2012, 2013 timeframe. And I would have people, this isn't even a joke, come to me and say, you won't be here for very long.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, you're passionate now. You want to get involved in all these things now. You want to run for city council. I mean, you want to get on all these committees, but that flame's going to eventually go
Right.
out and you're just move on. So many
Mhm.
people have. And I thought, what a crappy way to
Right.
greet somebody that just
Mhm.
No
moved to the
kidding.
community,
Mhm.
basically telling them that they won't last.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
it's not about endurance in a
Right.
community. It's just, if that's your attitude,
Mhm.
you're definitely not going to be part of the welcome wagon moving forward.
Right. Have you
Because
seen a change though? I mean,
I have.
I have, and I've
witnessed a
gotten the
change.
feedback, being a resident here, like, Sarah, there were times in this town where it was, very difficult to get positivity out of people. And what I'm hearing now when I go to visit people is that I hear a lot of things are improving. Things are
Yeah.
going great. Keep going in the same direction. Everything is really working out. We're really happy about it. So that's a big change from when, let's say, I started in 2020. It's a big change to hear people say things are going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I applaud the trailblazers in the beginning that had these visions and started these events. And it might have been, 5 to 10 people, because every
Yeah.
year I feel like more people get involved.
Oh,
and
yeah.
as more people get involved and the events grow and things like that, it's kind of hard to think of Clinton in a negative way.
Well, I'm really happy with the events that we have. Like, I say it all the time, Finally Fridays at the River and then Music on the Avenue. When they started, the attendance wasn't great. I remember going
Yeah.
to the first Finally
Yeah.
Fridays on the River, and there was a handful of people there. And it just, the tenacity of the organizers and the people doing that just is amazing to me. And that now
Yeah.
look at, they're huge.
Yeah.
Takes time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes time.
Yeah, I
Right.
think those were all events that were not in existence before I left for school. And granted, when you're in
Yeah.
high school, you're not really paying attention to community events, but they didn't exist. And then I go out to Iowa City, which is a great community. They've
Mhm.
got take away the school. The summer times in Iowa City are amazing. You don't have students, you just have the actual neighbors. I come back and now it's like there's really no difference. The events that we're having here are the same events that we're having in these bigger
Right.
cities. So it's just exciting to see. And like I said, more and more people are getting involved. Facebook's getting bigger. So it's really hard not to know the
Right.
things that are going on.
Yeah, we
So,
have. I mean, one of the things about the tourism department of Grove Clinton that I want to clarify and just shed some light on is we are not event planners,
Yes.
right? That's something that we've dipped our toes in the past and it
Mhm.
never works out. We do not create events. However, we facilitate the growth of existing events by helping with their branding, their marketing, their promotion,
Mhm.
but we're not going to be in the trenches working on the logistics
Mhm.
of event
Right.
setup.
Right.
And that's often confusing for people. They just think we're out there creating these events,
Right.
but that's not our job. Our job is for you to go out, create an event based on your passion, work with your committee, get it up and off the ground, allow us to help with the marketing efforts of it.
Mhm.
And then it's a very good relationship and collaboration moving forward.
Yeah.
So that's our goal,
Yeah.
at least for my goal for the department, is that
Yeah.
we continue to leverage our strengths in the best way possible. And that's through promotion.
Yep. And I'll say this job is every marketer's dream, to not have to deal with event organization and getting, everything in order, but just being able to help market all of these different events. It's fun. Every day is different. I work with so many people. I'm building relationships with people in the community that are passionate about what they do, but when you only have one or two people organizing an entire event, that's where I come in.
Right.
And that's where I use my skills and I use our resources here at
Mhm.
Grow Clinton to incubate the event so that it can be bigger. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to make me successful in my role, and to be able to have that opportunity to work with everybody. It's just been fun. I'm excited about it going
And I
forward.
love your connections that you have with the area, not just with the Clinton and Comanche. You have a connection with the area. And I had a family member who had this position at one time, and she told me that was the funnest job she ever had. It was a lot of work, but she said it was the funnest.
I wonder if that person is the same person that told me the exact same thing. I get told from everybody that this position is so much fun. I mean, taking a step back, like if you were to tell me 15 years ago that I'm going to be in a position to, lead Clinton's tourism efforts and come up with ideas and work with so many different people to bring fun things to the town, like I would have been like, heck yes, sign me up now. I'm ready. It's just, I feel like it's every marketer's dream. It's just been the perfect position so far. And there's so much opportunity going forward. There's no path that's laid out right now. We know what we want to do. We have our strategy going forward, but every day is different.
No, and that's the cool thing about Grow Clinton in general is we're not following a blueprint.
Right.
We continue to remain, as Charlie Minnick says, curious,
Yes,
excited about new opportunities, leveraging existing technologies as well as those we haven't even experienced yet to help promote and share our message. And obviously, with the invention of social media, it has become easier and easier, not easier, but more accessible and reaching a broad audience by leveraging those tools. And we just got to take full advantage of it. So I'm excited to have you on board. I'm excited that we are fully staffed. I'm excited that we're basically firing on all cylinders right now. And there's nothing that can stop us. And going down and sharing the message today with the folks at the Bettendorf Rotary was, again, an eye-opener how far our message travels. Bettendorf is not distance-wise extremely far. However, when we look at ourselves versus the Quad Cities, we often think the Quad Cities folks don't think about Clinton. And this is proven to be the opposite, as they are noticing Clinton and they're wanting to know what we're doing in order to experience the growth that we've had.
And it's great to have that positive recognition, from our peers. And it means a lot that way for us.
So have I ever mentioned a new book that I got called The Curious Garden?
Yes.
I saw you posted on LinkedIn.
Yeah, check that out. If you're not familiar with it, it's available online. But it's called The Curious Garden. It's a children's book, and it basically highlights the character Liam, who lives in a community that's predominantly manufacturing, industrial. And in the beginning, through the illustrations, you see that it's kind of gray and dull, and there's not a lot of excitement. But Liam, being curious, starts navigating throughout the community and finds an old wooden trestle bridge that used to support a rail line. And he climbs up and he opens the door and he looks out at the old railroad track. And there in the middle between two ties is a couple flowers that are popping up through the ground, bright, colorful flowers. And he decides that he's going to tend to this, what he calls his garden. Every day he goes there and he starts tending the garden, pulling weeds, watering, and eventually the flowers expand and grow. And then they hop down off the bridge and they're climbing up a building next to it. And at the end of the book, the message is that people were seeing what Liam was doing and wanted to copy and mimic his actions to make the community a better place. And through his efforts, the last page of the book is an illustration that shows this community as it became versus what it was. And of course, at the end, it was sun was shining, everything was green and colorful, and there stood Liam. Then they also depict the dozens of other people that were out there planting their own gardens in their own locations.
That's a great book, and that's a great comparison to Clinton.
Yeah, I just think it's, that's why it's integrity. It's doing the right thing even when no one's looking. But if you're passionate about seeing the community advance and continue to grow and become better and enhance the quality of life, you need to take action. I mean, just with our flowers outside of our office, it's flowers. It's just a little thing, right?
Makes you happy.
But we put effort into going out there and planting and watering. And when people drive by on their bikes, they see them and they enjoy them. And hopefully others see them and enjoy them. And that inspires them to plant their own little garden. And
pride and community.
Next thing you know, we're all Liam's.
Right.
So.
And one thing you mentioned is it's day by day. It's
Yeah.
not
Mhm.
overnight. It takes all of us coming in every day. Doesn't matter if you work at Grow Clinton or you work down the street or whoever it is. We just have to come in every day and keep progressing forward and keep building the things that we want to see here in Clinton. And that sounds like a
Right.
great book. And it sounds like exactly what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Because, Clinton had its moments, in the early 1900s, we were booming.
Mhm.
And then, industry leaves and it kind of goes down. And now we're kind of building it back up the last 25 years or so specifically. I say that because I'm 26. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
that's my time frame of being in Clinton. And it's just really exciting to see. And like I said earlier, I think people are getting excited. I think people are seeing their neighbors and their coworkers and family and friends getting involved, whether it's just going to Finally Fridays or Music on the Ave or whatever it is. So yeah, I imagine in the next 5-10 years, we're going to see an entirely different community in a positive way, with just all the new things that are coming up.
Yep, there's a lot of stuff that can be accomplished. It's going to
yeah.
take a lot of work, but it's going to take also a lot of patience.
Yes.
Well, and
Yeah.
ultimately also it's an attitude that a person is
is.
responsible for,
It
you know,
is.
to make things better and to want to make it better. Nothing's just going to be served to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm so excited about Sarah because she has such a positive attitude. It fits right in.
Excellent. Well, on that note, Sarah, thank you
Yep.
so much for joining the Grow
Yes.
Clinton team.
Yeah.
We're excited to witness your future success and collaborate to ensure that all departments within Grow Clinton continue to thrive and prosper. Jenny, what you got going on the rest of the week? What's today? Wednesday?
Today is it Wednesday already?
The 11th of June, Wednesday.
Yes. Well, right now I'm working on a new idea for my retention calls. I'm trying to develop a new way I do value visits. That's more of an in-depth visit that I do when I visit members, but I want to start making a more intentional retention visit.
Yeah.
Just coming in and
Stopping
saying
by
hi and that whole thing, but to make it count.
Yeah, good. Yep. Always trying new things. I
Yep.
will say this though, before we close the show out, I have to I got to redact a comment that I made during the Charlie Minnick episode because I said my mother, who
Uh-oh.
watches all these episodes,
Yes.
that she doesn't pay anything via her, but like direct or bank
Right.
account, ACH, anything like that. She writes checks for all of her bills.
Okay.
And this is how I know she watches the live because I wasn't out of this office for 5 minutes and my phone dinged. And it was like, hello, Andrew, this is your mother. I will have you know that I pay the phone bill. I'll read the exact message. I'm going to find it right now. And she was like, I listened to your podcast, Andy, and you said, and then I sent her another little funny meme and stuff. But
You got busted.
Yeah, I got busted. But yeah, she said, let me find it here. She said, Dear Andrew.
Dear Andrew.
This is how the text goes. Just an update on your mama's technology from your podcast. I, in fact, pay 2 bills via online, phone, and electric with more to follow. I also have been using AI for a while when I worked as well as with notes. I write, I may be old, but this old girl is still kicking. Love always, Mama.
That was an actual letter, a legit letter to you.
She is the only one on this planet that calls me Andrew.
Oh, now that
She
we know.
is. I've never had anybody call me. I mean, people will say Andrew, but
Yeah.
she never calls me Andy. She's
She's always called you Andrew.
Yep, always call me Andrew, and then she
All right.
throws in my middle name there if I'm in trouble. And I remember one night she tells the story all the time, and then I'll close out the show because we're kind of going down a rabbit hole. But I had my friends over, and we were, I don't know, probably 14, 15, I don't remember. And we were down in the basement, and it was where my room was. It was like a half finished basement. And so I converted the downstairs into my room. My mom was upstairs in her room. And my friends and I decided to go out late at night and just kind of like terrorize the neighborhood. Now we lived in a kind of a rural area. We were just back roads and stuff. We were just running around, messing with neighbors and stuff kids do, right? No damage or anything, just
being 15,
ditch and stuff like that. So, but what I did, and I don't know what this says about me. I should talk to my psychiatrist. What I did is we had these like foam heads because every year we used to have this gigantic Halloween party.
Yes.
Like, huge Halloween party. And we had in our basement just boxes and boxes of Halloween decorations. So I took these foam heads and I laid them on the where the people were sleeping and we covered them up. So it looked like there was heads in the beds. Right. And of course, like every good parent, they had this intuition. But what happened was her mother, or my friend's mother, called my house and said, "Oh, is so-and-so there?" he didn't tell me he was sleeping over and it's getting late. When is he coming home? And he has rode his bike to my house.
Yes.
And my mom says, oh, I don't know, but I think he is there. All the boys are sleeping over, but I'll go down and get him. So she goes down and she goes to my bed first, and she goes to shake the pillow and the head falls out. And she went outside. We had like the Belco doors, what they're called, from the basement outside, those angled doors. And I just remember that she let out a scream, and it was just, Andrew Joseph. My friends all stopped and like, what was that? And I was like, that was my mom. We gotta go. We gotta get back. But yeah, so I used to terrorize my mother. She is the salt of the earth. She's the nicest person I ever met in my life. But growing up, it was just kind of her and I. And I remember just stalking her around the house with Nerf guns, like hiding behind the couch when she would come around.
Oh,
and
yeah.
blast her with a Nerf bow and arrow. And
Yep.
And then, and she would be doing dishes, and I would have a Gatling gun, Nerf gun, blast her. And I'm like, oh, my poor mother.
No, that's typical.
Boy, mom.
Nobody prepared me for that.
Yes.
And
my poor mother. But, she worked really hard throughout her entire life. And honestly, one of the things I'll say about my mother on a serious note is she kept from me a lot of the struggles that she had following my parents' divorce financially. And I never knew any of it. Now, as an adult who's gone through divorce himself and is raising, 3 children, and I'm remarried and life is good, but I reflect back to me doing the same thing to my children, is hiding how bad I felt and how guilty I felt and how financially inadequate I felt to be able to support them. And I do reflect that. And I always, every once in a while, will send my mom a quick text, and I'm just like, thank you for keeping that from me. I didn't realize the amount of strength it took to hide those types of things.
Yep.
So
it does.
I should send my dad a text.
Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. My mom's a saint. Maybe next time Michelle's in town, we'll have her back on the pod.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if Michelle's listening, sorry you had to deal with that.
You know what my son used to do?
That was a blessing.
I would yell at him if he was in trouble, and he would stand and do spidey webs at me the whole time.
When you were yelling at him?
Yes.
I'm going to try that as an adult
like,
and see how far that gets me.
Yeah.
Next time the board says something, I'll just be like, you're going to be like, what's the matter with you?
Well, I told him I don't want to see that again. I don't ever want to see that again. Do you understand me? And he said, yes. And then the next time he got in trouble, a little hand came around they went at me. And I was like, all right, I'm letting that go.
The things we get away with as kids. All right. We've been recording for too long and off topic, but thanks again to Sarah Smith, our newly hired director of placemaking and tourism here at Grow Clinton. Remember, Grow Clinton is a nonprofit organization that is 100% funded by our investors. We have nearly 500 of them. If you would like to become a member of Grow Clinton and find out how your investment allows us to continue doing the awesome work that we do, but also the return on your investment through a whole suite of benefits, to include, we do member spotlight videos, membership directory, help you with marketing, help you identify your ideal customer, help you grow your business regardless of the size of the company. We got all of that stuff right at our fingertips. So check us out at growclinton.com or swing by the office, 721 South 2nd Street, or give us a call, 563-242-5702. And the lovely Karen Fries will answer the phone. And make sure you thank her for 30 years of service to this organization. Again, our annual meeting's coming up on June 25th. It starts at 4:00 at the Wild Rose Casino and Hotel. If you want to register for the annual meeting of Grow Clinton, be sure to go to growclinton.com, click on that calendar link, hit the drop down, go to June 25th, and register. Free registration for members.
Dueling pianos. We're going to have a taco bar. It's going to be so cool. Just a laid back party. Fun.
And check it out. Again, free for members. If you're a non-member and you just want to see what Grow Clinton's all about and do some hardcore networking, because there'll be a lot of people there. It costs you $30 to get in.
And you get to see some people who really deserve to be recognized, receive awards.
All right, everybody. My name is Andy Sokolovich. Again, that's Jenny Home from our office, and Sarah Smith. Thank you for listening to episode 127 of the Grow Clinton podcast, recorded on this 11th day of June 2025. Until next time, folks, stay classy. Thank you for listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all your socials. Until next time, see ya. Let me stop this before we export audio. What did I say this was? 127?
Mhm.
127. That's crazy. Export. Because if I don't do that, then I'll forget it. What's cool is that everything that I save on this computer is connected to the cloud with our servers. Then it automatically shows up on the desktop in my other computer, so I
That's
don't
awesome.
have to,
Yeah.
Mhm.
email myself files anymore.
That was a pain.
Technology.
Yes.
Yeah, my mom's an early adopter, obviously, because she's paying 2 bills online.
Mhm.
Can't be stopped.
All right, here we go.